He used to wake up like most people do, late, tired, and already buried under worries. His phone was the first thing his hands reached for, and before even getting out of bed, he was already consuming bad news, urgent messages, and social media that made him compare his life to others. The result? A heavy day before it even began. It was only when he discovered Stoic wisdom and began studying discipline that he realized something. Mornings are the foundation of the entire day. If you start lost, you run the risk of spending the rest of the day reacting to chaos. But if you start with the right habits, you build an inner fortress that makes you stronger than 99% of people. Marcus Aurelius, emperor and philosopher, wrote in his meditations every morning, reminding himself that the day ahead would bring difficulties, unjust people, and unexpected challenges. This simple ritual wasn't just a philosophical exercise. It was mental preparation to face life. And this is what many ignore. It's not physical strength that makes someone unshakable, but the strength of spirit built through small daily habits. He decided to test this. At first, it felt difficult. Waking up earlier, resisting the urge to grab the phone, creating rituals of silence and focus. But little by little, he began to notice something extraordinary. Mornings stopped being a battlefield and became a training ground. Each habit was like an invisible weight, strengthening his mind, his discipline, and even his body. And that's exactly what this video is about. The morning habits that can make you stronger than 99% of people. It's not about magic formulas or empty promises, but about practices tested by philosophers, leaders, and ordinary people who decided to take control of their lives. Before we go further, I want to invite you to subscribe to this channel. Here, we turn ancient wisdom and modern strategies into practical tools so you can live with more purpose, discipline, and serenity. If that resonates with you, get ready, because the journey begins now, at sunrise. The first habit he embraced seemed simple, but it completely changed how he started his day. Waking up before the world. It wasn't about getting up at the crack of dawn and exhausting himself, but about creating a quiet space before the noise, demands, and distractions invaded his mind. In the beginning, getting out of bed felt like a battle against himself. The temptation to hit the snooze button was huge, but he began to see that moment as the first victory of the day. If he could conquer himself early in the morning, everything else seemed easier. As Epictetus said, "No man is free until he masters himself." Each morning he resisted the urge to go back to sleep. He realized he wasn't just gaining extra minutes, and he was building discipline. His mind felt clearer, his body more energized, and there was a quiet sense of accomplishment that carried him through the rest of the day. And there was more. By waking up earlier, he discovered that the silence of the morning was one of life's greatest gifts. It was the perfect moment to reflect, to plan, and to prepare his spirit. While the world was still asleep, he was already strengthening himself from within. This simple but powerful habit is the foundation that separates those who spend their lives reacting to chance from those who choose their own path. Because waking up early is not just a practical decision, it's a declaration that you are willing to live differently from the majority. The second habit that transformed his mornings was not touching his phone upon waking. It might seem like a small detail, but in that detail he realized how much he was handing his mind over to the control of others. News, messages, social media, all of it pulled his attention outward before he even had the chance to look inward. It was difficult at first. The phone seemed to call him, as if it were impossible to begin the day without checking notifications. But when he finally broke that cycle, he discovered something liberating. Mental silence. Instead of starting the day reacting to external noise, he began starting it with his own intentions. That space, once devoured by rush and distraction, became sacred time. He used it to reflect, to write a few lines in a notebook, or simply to breathe in silence, observing his own thoughts. This small act gave him back control over what he thought and felt in those first hours of the day. Marcus Aurelius did the same in his meditations, writing to himself, reminding himself of virtues and of life's harsh realities. It wasn't an ordinary journal, but a training ground for the mind. By imitating this practice, he realized he was cultivating clarity. And clarity is one of the greatest strengths a person can possess. Not starting the day with his phone was like making room for what truly mattered. And in that space, he found discipline, focus, and serenity. It was a daily reminder that he didn't have to be a slave to notifications but the master of his own attention. The third habit that changed everything was moving his body first thing in the morning. It didn't need to be a long or intense workout. Just a few minutes of stretching, a short run, or even a simple sequence of exercises at home. What truly mattered was sending a clear message to his body and mind. We are ready for the day. He realized that exercising early in the morning wasn't just about health, it was about discipline. The body woke up, the mind awakened, and along with that came a powerful sense of energy. While many were still struggling to get out of bed, he had already given his mind the first physical victory of the day. And there was also a deep psychological aspect. When you exercise in the morning before distractions appear, it's as if you're telling yourself that your health, your strength, and your discipline are a priority. This builds confidence, the quiet certainty that you are in control of yourself. The Stoics didn't speak of modern gyms, but they understood the value of the body as an instrument of the mind. Seneca said, "It is necessary to care for the body, so that it may obey the mind." Every push-up, every run, every drop of sweat was not just training for the muscles, but training for the discipline that would sustain all the other choices of the day. It was in this habit that he discovered that strength doesn't come from chance, but from silent repetition. And every morning he moved his body, he felt he was among the few who were building something greater than laziness. They were building resilience. The fourth habit was feeding the mind before feeding the world. He realized that just as the body needs energy in the morning, the mind also needs to be nourished with something that strengthens it, rather than being invaded by distractions. Instead of opening social media or watching meaningless content, he began choosing short but profound readings, pages of philosophy, passages from inspiring books, or even a single phrase that could serve as a guide for the day. It wasn't about quantity, but quality. A single line from Marcus Aurelius, for example, had the power to completely change the way he would face the challenges of the hours ahead. This habit became a ritual of alignment. He asked himself, "What do I want to carry within me today?" By answering with words of wisdom, his mind grew stronger against the inevitable external turbulence. It was like putting on invisible armor, ready to face the attacks of hurry, stress, and negativity. Over time, this simple practice made a huge difference. He noticed he started the day more focused, calmer, and with a clearer sense of purpose. Every morning felt like planting silent seeds that would bloom throughout the day. The Stoics knew this well. For them, the very first thoughts upon waking were decisive. To feed the mind with virtues instead of vices was what separated those who lived at the mercy of emotions from those who led their lives with firmness. The fifth habit was practicing gratitude and visualization right after waking up. It wasn't a mystical practice, but an exercise in clarity. Instead of starting the day thinking about what was missing or about the problems to come, he began training his mind to recognize what he already had and what he could build. Every morning, still in silence, he asked himself two simple questions. What am I grateful for today? And which version of myself do I want to live out today? These questions acted as a powerful compass. They didn't eliminate the challenges, but they changed the way he faced them. He realized that gratitude anchored him. It was impossible to feel anger and gratitude at the same time, and that feeling became a shield against negativity that might arise throughout the day. Visualization, on the other hand, was like a map. He pictured himself responding calmly to provocations, working with focus, finishing important tasks. This mental image worked like a rehearsal, preparing him to act with greater strength in reality. Marcus Aurelius every morning reminded himself that he would encounter ungrateful, malicious, and difficult people. This act was not pessimism, but preparation. And that's what he also began to do. Use his mind to anticipate difficulties, but also to prepare to overcome them. This habit completely transformed his mornings. Instead of starting with anxiety or distraction, he started with purpose. And those who live with purpose already wake up stronger than most. The sixth habit was making conscious decisions early in the morning. He realized that by postponing simple choices, he was wasting mental energy that could be used for more important things. Deciding what to wear, what to eat, or how to organize the first hours of the day seemed harmless, but it accumulated mental fatigue. So, he began to simplify. Clothes laid out the night before, breakfast planned, priority tasks already written down. That way, when he woke up, he didn't have to spend energy on details. His mind was free for what really mattered. This habit taught him that strength is not only about resisting what is difficult, but also about eliminating what is unnecessary. Every automated decision left more room for discipline, clarity, and focus. It was like clearing the ground before building something solid. Marcus Aurelius spoke of acting according to nature and reason, without being distracted by the superfluous. This philosophy was reflected in the simple act of organizing the mornings. He understood that every minute spent in indecision was a minute stolen from his purpose. The difference became clear. While many started the day confused, jumping from task to task without direction, he was already in motion, guided by decisions made in advance. It gave him a silent but powerful advantage over the majority. The seventh habit was exposing himself to discomfort early in the day. He realized that most people begin the day seeking comfort. Warm water, sweet coffee, cozy clothes. But too much comfort weakens the mind. So he decided to do the opposite, to introduce small doses of discomfort on purpose. Sometimes it was taking a cold shower, even when his body wanted hot water. Other times it was starting the day with a few minutes of total silence, no music, no distractions. Or even beginning the day with the hardest task instead of postponing it. These small gestures trained his mind not to run away from what was uncomfortable. Over time, he discovered that these choices changed not only his mornings but his entire life. When he faced something uncomfortable early in the day, the rest of the day felt lighter. After all, once you've braved the shock of cold water, any difficult meeting or external provocation seems far less threatening. The Stoics believed that life requires constant training. Seneca said, "If you want nothing to be unbearable, get used to everything." By practicing discomfort daily, he was not only strengthening his body but also forging an unshakable mind, prepared for any unexpected blow life might bring. And this habit placed him in a small and select group of people who understand that strength does not come from pleasure, but from the ability to face what is difficult without running away. The eighth habit was writing in the morning to organize the mind. It wasn't about creating perfect pages or chasing great literary inspiration. It was simply about putting thoughts, worries, ideas, and reflections onto paper. This simple exercise worked like a mental cleansing. He noticed that when he wrote, he lifted the weight off his mind and placed it in front of him. What once felt confusing became clearer. Small worries lost their grip when seen in writing. Problems that had seemed enormous revealed their solutions once organized into words. Writing was also a way to connect with himself. He would ask, "What do I expect from this day? What kind of person do I want to be in the face of challenges?" These questions shaped his behavior. The act of writing was like aligning the compass before starting the journey. The Stoics practiced this every day. Marcus Aurelius turned his personal writings into a guide for life, not for others but for himself. And this is what he began to experience. When he wrote, he wasn't seeking applause, but clarity. Over time, this habit made him more aware. Instead of being dragged by the rush of the day, he felt firmly grounded. And this simple ritual of just a few minutes placed him mentally ahead of 99% of people who started their day on autopilot. By bringing all these habits together, he realized something transformative. It wasn't just about mornings, it was about life as a whole. Every choice made early in the day echoed through the hours that followed, like ripples spreading across water. Waking up early, avoiding distractions, moving the body, feeding the mind, practicing gratitude, simplifying decisions, embracing discomfort, and writing. All of these formed a silent arsenal that gave him an advantage over most people. While many began their day in disorder, he had already won internal battles. While others were ruled by external urgencies, he had already planted purpose within himself. That's when he understood why these habits could make him stronger than 99% of people. Because most live on autopilot, while only a few consciously choose how they want to begin their day. The Stoics said that true strength lies in preparing for life before it happens. And mornings are the perfect training ground for that. It's not about controlling the world, but about preparing yourself to face it with serenity, discipline, and focus. He didn't become perfect, nor invincible. He still faced problems, setbacks, and difficult people, but the difference was clear. Now he faced them all with a solid foundation, built in the first hours of the day. Each morning was a chance to renew himself, to reinforce his inner fortress, and to come closer to the best version of who he could be. If you've made it this far, remember, you don't need to change everything at once. Start with one habit, then another. Progress is silent, but it accumulates. And little by little, you'll realize you've become someone stronger, more centered, and more free. If this message resonated with you, subscribe to this channel. Here, we continue exploring how small daily acts, inspired by Stoic wisdom and practical discipline, can transform your life. Because the strength you seek is already within you, it just needs to be trained every morning.